Right. Done.
And then after the Q&A is over, we'll just give one more reminder to download the Crew app. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
That
Right.
will cement the thing. All right.
So I am setting my screen to the slide now. Okay.
The first, yes, please.
People, somebody asks a question. How can someone ask a question right now? I am Ahmad Hamda Salim Mustafa. Okay, nice.
No, that's okay. I mean, we can't stop their actions, so that's okay. Let him. Yeah.
It is actually, there were at least 18 people just 2 minutes back, and now it's 12. So I think they are getting frustrated. They have already come, and then there is no action.
नहीं यार, vote सही है. Vote time 3 बजे का है ना, and most of the people will join in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah. In the last 5 minutes, yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Hi, अरे ये तो अपना को introduce कर दिया Q&A.
Vishant, I think we should start broadcasting so that people really see something is happening.
We still have 4-5 minutes because now it is reduced from 16 to 12. The number is fluctuating up and down. Let's wait for 2 more minutes. Let's wait for 2 more minutes.
We can show the first screen. Okay.
So you can just say that welcome everyone, and glad that you all are here. We'll just wait for a couple of more minutes, and
this is good.
Sure.
Yeah. I am starting the broadcast now. Okay.
Okay. Let me do it. अच्छा ठीक है, करो कुछ.
I welcome the members of the audience. We'll wait for a couple of more minutes and then we'll start with it. Thank you. So welcome everyone on behalf of GET Global. We are an organization that is primarily into providing services for the upstream oil and gas industry, as you might be aware already. I thank each one of you for joining this webinar today about how to make a stellar CV for oil and gas sector to enhance your profile and your knowledge about how to structure your CV for the industry HR to review, as you may be at different stages of your career. So broadly speaking, today we will help you make your next career move within or outside your home country, regionally or globally. Please be rest assured, after attending this webinar, you will definitely leave with more wisdom to highlight yourself and your CV in the best possible manner for recruiters out there. Would also request each one of you to please stay tuned until the very end of this event to ensure you pick up our special 7 ingredients for your resume to shine and a GET tool that will make your application process much more easier. On that note, let me take a moment to introduce ourselves. I am Sumit Chopra, Manager Recruitment Team for GET Global Group. I come with 18 years of experience in global business operations, international recruitment and staffing industry as resourcing business partner, and have worked with organizations such as GE, Sopra Steria, FIS Global, WNS, and now with GET Global Group. I'm alumni of Acceleride and a global mobility specialist from Worldwide ERC USA. I would also like to introduce with me an industry veteran with a total years of experience, 32 years, and he's joining us from Dubai. He's one of the finest we have, and you will understand that as we progress. I would request Mr. Alvin D'Souza.
Thank you, Sumit. Thank you for the brief introduction. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this webinar. I'm Alvin D'Souza, Technical Manager and Service Quality Head of GET. I've been working in the upstream oil and gas industry for the past 32 years. During this time, I've worked with some majors of the oil industry, Schlumberger, Weatherford, Baker Hughes, are some of the service companies that I've worked with. I've also worked with some operators like BG, Kane, and Shell. My areas of expertise are coiled tubing, stimulation, wireline, and slickline. I've worked in different geographies, including India, Saudi, Bahrain, Iraq, Tunisia, UAE, and Brunei. I have held various positions during this period, started out as a trainee as usual, and then moved from operator to supervisor to base manager and finally to a well service supervisor. Prior to taking up my current role as a technical manager, I have worked as a subject matter expert with GET, where I have conducted more than 350 technical interviews. Over to you, Sumit, for the next one.
All right. Thank you, sir. I would request our dear members of the audience and the industry professionals to please listen and learn from the expertise of Mr. D'Souza, and I'm sure you will leave much more with knowledge and with wisdom. Now, we all know what a CV is. We build a CV with the intention to put out a great first impression on a potential recruiter. But I would ask all of you, what do you really think? Do recruiters even read your CV? I would like to receive your most honest opinion over here, because we would like to engage with you and understand what are your perceptions about it. You should be able to answer with a brief yes and no in a small poll which is flashing in front of you. So please feel free, give us your opinion. Mr. D'Souza, do we have some sort of interim poll results?
Yes, of course. Of course, the poll results are in, and 66% of you think that recruiters do read your CVs. And I'm not surprised the way majority of you think. It's a fact that your CV is read by the recruiter. But then you may have this question. If yes, why don't I get shortlisted and receive a call? Well, recruiters spend very little time on a CV. So it is very important that your CV is well structured and all the relevant information is provided in a very few words. Basically, you need to catch the attention of the person screening your CV in the first few words that he is going to read. Certainly, you need to highlight the important competencies that are required for the role you are applying for?
Absolutely, sir. I'm sure everybody has that curiosity. What exactly happens after they apply for a role? So I will let all of you how exactly the flow of the CV assessment happens in reality. Rejection criteria, of course, is a part of it that we'll cover soon, and how a recruiter within the recruitment team shortlists the potential candidates from a number of applications received, and that would be covered soon as well, because we need to understand the entire process if we need to increase our chances. You'll be surprised to know that recruiters spend on average 30 seconds or at times even much less looking and reading your CV. They pay utmost importance to the CV structure. So please don't forget that a recruiter has a very trained eye for the CV details. And in one sense, he or she knows exactly what they're looking for. So if your CV is shortlisted and you get the communication about it after the initial screening process, please count yourself lucky enough that you have made an impression with the recruiter and have progressed to the next stage. Mr. D'Souza, would you like to mention about the technical review carried out after the initial shortlisting once the profile reaches your desk?
Yes, of course, Sumit. In order to catch the attention of the technical assessor, please don't forget to mention important information like companies you have worked with, the geographies you have operated in, experience of specific product lines, jobs, equipment, software, etc. Please portray the depth of your technical knowledge and your technical skills. Mention the challenges faced, troubleshooting experience, your leadership skills, and any significant achievements during your career.
Okay, sir. Now I would let all of you know there are two stages. One is the basic assessment, which is carried out by the recruitment team and all the recruiters. And the second would be a technical assessment, which follows after that. So your CV will be your introduction to many prospective employers and the projects you would like to work on. So it really needs to catch the recruiter's eyes. Reflect your work experience, mention your technical expertise in the best possible manner, along with the soft skills in a way that makes an overall impact. And of course, include other information such as your contact details, education history, and wider interests, which is equally important. Please don't forget your CV is the only bridge between you and the recruiters and the technical hiring managers. So that is your best chance to make a good impression. So the basic assessment also covers, like, it is a match of your skill sets and your competencies with the job descriptions recruitment team and the recruiters receive from the technical managers beforehand. So there is a matchmaking. Then obviously the shortlisting from the many applications we receive. So the recruitment team obviously follows a funnel approach. It's like searching a needle in the haystack. The number of job might be one, but the applications we receive is much more, like around 40, 50 applications, even more at times. So only those CVs which have a good, well-defined structure and which appear to be meaningful will pass to the next stage with the technical manager's final review before an interview call can happen. I would request Alvin, if from your experience you could mention further on this from a technical perspective, please.
Yes, from past experience as a technical assessor, I wish to tell you that recruiters do not spend more than a few seconds on a CV. So please capture all your technical competencies, skills, work history, and experiences in a summarized form using few words, thus enabling the technical assessor to quickly glance through your CV and get a good idea about your competencies and capabilities. It is only then you stand a good chance to get to the next level, which is the technical interview.
Okay, now I would like to mention again, if you recall, when we started this webinar, we discussed the curiosity. What do you think, whether the recruiters even read your CVs, and the differentiation between a good CV and an incomplete CV? That's all that makes a difference. So you may be a very hardworking professional, but unless and until it reflects in your CV, it wouldn't move to the next level. So the CV which we have in front of you, this is there are certain general, never to do things in a CV and why a specific CV gets rejected. So this particular profile which is shared, the candidate has applied for a senior coil tubing operator, let's say, and that is bound to get rejected every time because the elements are wrongly mentioned. If you will notice, the role applied for is senior coil tubing operator, and person is working as a junior engineer. There is no evidence of working as an operator or getting promoted as a senior operator. Basically, the career progression is missing as an highlight on the CV. Number of coil tubing jobs performed till date. Equipment and technologies are very few. In fact, it's almost negligible. If you'll see, it's not mentioned in details, and only a few pumps are used. That's mentioned along with the SAP exposure, which doesn't make any sense. The coil tubing operations per se, they are missing. So basically, this seems like a mismatch of skills versus the role applied for, as I mentioned earlier. So if there is a mismatch, it won't progress further and it's bound to get rejected. So in fact, it's not even clear if the candidate is presently working as a pump operator or a coil tubing operator, right? So I hope, Mr. D'Souza, you would agree that recruitment team shall not pass such CV definitely for your review. It will not come to your desk. What do you say, sir?
Definitely, Sumit. And adding to what Sumit has already mentioned, there are certain things you need to avoid as they are a turn-off for the recruiters. False information, information that cannot be verified. For me, this is the biggest turn-off. Most of the technical assessors come with a great deal of experience, and they can very quickly identify any information in your CV which is not true. If your CV fails to build the trust between you and the recruiter, there is no chance that your CV will make it to the next stage. Another aspect is irrelevant information. Information that has no relation with the job role, as we saw in this CV. It gives a feeling that you are only using the information to fill up space in your CV. What is not here, another example I would say is a turn-off, or rather is a not to do thing, is putting in too much of detail and making your CV very, very lengthy, which will spread over more than 2 pages, where, very little information is provided using too many words. And the recruiter has to spend a great deal of time to grab information that is looking for in your CV. As I mentioned earlier, recruiters spend very little time on your CV. If your CV is too lengthy, the recruiters will rarely make an attempt to read everything that you have written. Obviously, some of your most important skills mentioned, which could be in the later part of your CV, might get skipped, and your CV might get rejected in this case.
Absolutely, sir. I just like to pinpoint over here to the members of the audience that too much of detail is related to the next CV I'm going to show to you, which has all the relevant details. It is quite short and crisp. At the same time, in 2 pages, the good candidate has covered almost everything. So let's see the good CV now, the perfect image. This is how we construct a good CV, and this is how it makes a good impression with the recruiter. So you can see the formatting and the highlights and the font which is used by the candidate. The readability of the CV is quite good. The equipment and technologies handled by the candidate is quite well. Exposure to the maintenance work at the sites. Career progression is quite clear. If you will notice, he has mentioned that he started his career as a CT pump operator, and he was progressed to the next level of nitrogen and CT operator. From there on, he was promoted to a service supervisor for coil tubing, pumping, and nitrogen. This is how it should look like. A person coming from the grassroots level, rising all the way up to the higher supervisory level, makes a good impression. Then that's what the technical hiring managers look for. If you see the equipment and technology section, clearly and crisp, everything is mentioned. Experience of the profile, the equipments the person has used and the troubleshooting. along with the certification of IWCF. So this makes a good impression. Mr. Alvin, I would like to hear further from you on this CV. And you will remember we recently interviewed this candidate.
Correct. I do remember that, Sumit. So what I would say is please pay attention on some of the keywords that you need to be used in highlighting your technical points. For example, if you're applying for an operator role, please mention equipment you have operated. The word operated is important here. Rigged up, assembled, HSA related achievements, the challenges faced, the type of jobs that you have done. Those are important kind of information that the recruiters look for. Again, for a supervisor, the preparatory work that you do should be showcased in your CV, like pre-job, post-job paperwork, your HSC-related paperwork. Use the words supervised, handled, motivated, supported, delegated. They make an impression that, okay, you have the qualities of a supervisor. Again, your troubleshooting experiences, mention those. The challenges that you have faced, mention those. Your leadership skills, the softwares that you have used, the equipment that you've used, and as in this CV, mention the certifications that you have, like well control or offshore survival certification, etc. If you have undergone any service line specific trainings, please mention those in your CV. The achievements that you've had during your career, the recognitions that you have received, some important jobs that you have done, some difficult jobs that you have done. For example, if the well is on high H2S, mention that. If you have operated in some high pressure, high temperature wells, please do mention that as well. Any new technology or difficult wells that you have operated in, like extended reach wells, those type of jobs, they make an impact, and they grab the attention of the recruiters. Again, another example I will give of for the position of an engineer. So engineer, use the words like planning, delegation, designing, writing programs, work instructions. Again, some paperwork like risk analysis, management of change, end of well reports, job tickets, your troubleshooting experiences, the challenges that you have faced, some specific softwares that you have used. Mention those in your CV. The client interaction that you do. Mention the clients you have interacted with. Any new technology that you implemented during your career. Any special achievements that you've had. If you have contributed to some SP papers, please try to put that because those hold a lot of weight in your CV. Okay? Again, the type of jobs you have done. Mention words like the problems that you have solved, the processes that you have streamlined. Anything that you have engineered, remodeled, standardized, or programs, make a mention of that in your CV. Again, some equipment you must have operated, so mention those. For example, Schlumberger uses this X11 new technology. Active is another one. Jet Blaster is a tool that Schlumberger uses. E-coil. So these are specific experiences which catch the attention of the recruiter or the technical assessment team. Again, if you have worked for Baker, then you must have used Telecoil or Rotojet or some places even Duralink. So mention those. I mean, those are kind of catchy words, and then they definitely catch the attention. Some special jobs like catenary city jobs, which are done in very, very few places, and these are specific experiences. Some special slickline tools like peak plug or tubing pack off. And some special wireline tools as well, which could be. Please mention them in your CV. Okay, and I would again say, summarize the technical competencies instead of putting in too much details. For example, let's take the example of a CV for a quality tubing supervisor. So instead of mentioning line by line every job that you have done and filling up a lot of space in your CV, what you can do is basically write something like this, supervise 50 coil tubing jobs, including 10 nitrogen jobs, 15 stimulation jobs, 10 clean out jobs, 3 fishing jobs, some milling jobs you mentioned over there, logging jobs. whatever you have done, mention in a sentence, one sentence. So it is very easy for the recruiter or the technical assessor to just read a few words and get a whole picture of your experience. Another example I will give is for a nitrogen pump operator. So you can mention operated 180K standard cubic feet per minute SCFM nitrogen pump unit on 5 nitrified acid stimulation jobs. So it gives a picture like, okay, this guy has so much of experience of operating this nitrogen unit. He knows about the unit, and he knows what job he's doing, and like he gives a clear idea of what type of jobs he's doing. Again, a nitrified acid stimulation job is essentially a foam job, So that again gives the recruiter who has a trained eye for all these things that he's even experienced on foam quality and all those things. Another example I will give for a pump operator is say mention operated 1800 horsepower triplex pump on 10 multiple stage frac jobs. So that again gives a good picture of the depth of the experience that you have. So, as Sumit already said, the link between you and the recruiter is your CV. The information that you provide in your CV should be very crisp and precise, and should give a clear picture about yourself. Thanks, Sumit. Over to you.
Right, absolutely, sir. I'm sure the audience is taking notes, or they are understanding these things in detail. And during a technical interview, you can always ask the details for the number of jobs if you really want. So once the candidates have mentioned the stimulation jobs and the number of jobs, the SME can always ask in detail on the vocal interview. So there's no need to mention it on your CV per se, because that would be covered in the interview anyway. And I can see some members of the audience are raising their hands. Probably they have some queries or questions. We'll come to the Q&A session later. And now finally, it's time for our 7 secret tips, or the ingredients we promised at the start of this session. So I'll take you through these points so you can be well informed going forward in drafting your CV accordingly. First is understanding the importance of your CV, of course. So it's very important that your CV attracts the recruiters to include your relevant skills and technical competencies in a precise and very concise manner. So we are aware you might have done a lot of jobs and you want to mention everything on your CV. It's really not required. Let's keep it to around 2 pages. Okay, so it makes sense, and the SME will ask you about those things in the technical interview. So this is the best way to start with writing a professional CV and making a good impression, by being precise and concise. Second, your job objective or your job title. This section should position yourself in your future targeted role. What exactly you're looking for? What do you want to do in the medium and long term? Right in the beginning of your CV. So this way you would make a recruiter aware about your set goals. This would also enable the recruiter to judge the relevance of your resume and match it accordingly as per the job description available from the technical managers. The third tip would be the profile summary or the executive profile. This is a snapshot of your overall professional career till date and is considered as one of the most effective sections of a CV if you really want to make an impact and influence your recruiter before the interview call. To start with, please identify those major skills and competencies you have acquired throughout your career, backed with relevant numbers of jobs and quantifiable figures. As Mr. D'Souza mentioned, and a recruitment team also looks for such kind of CVs. We mentioned earlier, well-structured, concise, and precise. This would position you as a candidate who has consistently delivered results in the past. Please avoid redundant, outdated, and superficial information, because that's not going to help at all. Because at the next stage, even if you make through the recruitment team, the technical hiring manager is well qualified. They have that much experience as an industry veteran to understand what your CV is saying and what you're saying on the interview. So this section should be well structured, clean, and precise. Fourth would be core competencies and your key skills. So please ensure the presentation of your advanced skills, if any, you have gained recently, the technologies and the keywords you have acquired in this section. So basically, the intent is to brainstorm and extract the relevant keywords from the list of responsibilities you have undertaken and match it with the requirements for the particular job profile, the way it is advertised. With the advancement in technologies, recruiters really prefer to use the automated systems, including the application tracking system. This is now very much global. So please understand, for every application you make, you need to match, you need to understand and read the job description and then make your CV accordingly. But obviously mention those things which you have done in the past, right? So this way you will be able to identify the relevant keywords and draft your resumes accordingly. Look for your keywords posted by the recruiters and position the same in your CV. Employment history. You can start this section with your most recent job and ensure that specific and measurable achievements are demonstrated suitably. So quantifiable achievements are a good indication of your performing well. This is exactly what recruitment team is looking for, and this would be what technical hiring manager is looking for. So please ensure that you mention the name of the organization, your tenure over there, the job location, geographies where you worked, along with your most recent designation, as well as a clear career progression, as we saw in the CVs sample ones which we discussed. Highlighting growth within the organization is highly recommended, as it would signify that you have been regularly promoted for your hard work. You have stayed around with the organization for quite some time, and now you're looking for a change in a very justified manner. Try to limit your initial experience in the resume. For example, any internship or any trainee experience, you can skip that because that is not really counted as a real-time experience, full-time experience, in fact, by the recruitment and the managers. And also, please ensure the major focus is given on your most recent 3 jobs performed. That's all. That makes a difference. The 6th point, the education and the professional training certifications. So you can mention in this section in a very chronological order, including your school, university degrees or diplomas, qualifications together along with the grades you have obtained. Additionally, you should also highlight the technical new courses you have gained or training certifications you have undertaken or updated with new versions recently. More from the recruitment team, beyond the technical managers, look for such details. This way, it would only signify that you have regularly imbibed the feeling of continuous learning. And the 7th point, this is also equally important, that is other engagements and extracurricular activities. Please cover like the relevant engagements, including any industry guest lectures you might have covered, or any corporate social responsibility initiatives, or any other thing you might have done for your organization while you're working there. So this gives a holistic picture of your profile, along with the work you have given to your organization. So these are the 7 points, and the sample CVs which we shared, I would just like to mention that by now you would have understood, keeping all these 7 ingredients, GET goes the extra mile, and to maintain the uniformity and to highlight the CVs to our clients in a justified manner after the technical managers has interviewed you. So we create a common GET CV format. So, right? So we go that extra mile, and that is how we do the marketing on your behalf.
Okay, thank you very much, Sumit, for those for the secret sauce,
right,
with 7 ingredients,
right,
7 special ingredients. Thank you.
Right.
So you can, dear audience, you can now post the questions. Myself and Sumit will be happy to answer all your queries. While we are waiting for the questions to get populated, let me take a moment to familiarize you with the GET mobile crew app. Considering the dynamic and time-sensitive nature of crew interactions, we have found that digitizing these interactions removes errors and confusion and shortens the time to make decisions. To that end, we have developed a mobile app for our crew members to use. Some highlights of this app are: it can be used on both Apple as well as Android. It can be used anytime and anywhere. The crew can search and select jobs on the GET crew app. They can bid on jobs and change costs dynamically. They can update their availability dates, share latest documentation like any certifications or trainings that they've acquired recently, update their timesheets electronically, be notified when job and project status changes. In addition, this app acts as a helpline in providing 24-hour support to our crew. As a result, our crew members have an information-rich and transparent view of GT processes in their pocket or in their hand at all times. Our clients too benefit from smoother and timelier deployments. After this webinar, I advise you to please go to the Play Store and download the GT Crew app. Now, I would request our technology support to give you a live demo of the GT Crew app. Over to you, Kush.
All right. Thank you, Alvin. Thank you, Sumit. Guys, I'll just take 2 seconds and I'll open the live app, mobile app, so that I can show to you how the mobile app really looks like. Right. So in order to, what you're looking at your screen right now is the homepage of GT Crew app. When I was in oil field, I never thought that, there could be some mobile app on which I can go and upload my resume, very oil and gas specific expertise and details I can enter into the in a mobile app. But now here it is, right? And it's simple to download. So by this time, you might have already received the link to download this app. Even if you have Android or an Apple phone, it supports both the platforms. And once you register, it hardly takes you 1 or 2 minutes to fill in all of your details, right? So you can upload your basic information, your name, nationality. You can verify your phone number. You can enter your professional experience, and you can upload your latest resume, right? Many a time what happens is that your resume gets updated every 6 months, but this resume lies with you. You are not able to send it to recruiters. But here it is, the app. You can go and you can update your resume as soon as you want, right? So if you get any new certification, just put it in your resume and upload it, right? And the recruiters will see it maybe the next day or day after, right? Other than that, the mobile app is, very good in actually telling you the status of your applications. When you apply on a job on GT Crew app, you get to know the status of your application, right? So you have 4 different sections here: the jobs on which you have applied, if the job has been dropped, or the job, your application has been rejected or approved. Whatever happens, you get to know, right? So you're not hanging around in the air. That is how we take care of our crew, of the candidates whom we want to have with us, right? You can place your bid, you can check the jobs that you have been awarded, and you can also save your jobs mark them as favorites, right? And what also you do, our GT2 team, what they do every week, they upload new jobs, right, on GT Crew app. So whenever we get new jobs, we upload them on GT Crew app. So right now you can look at all the active jobs on the Crew app. So we are looking for N2 supervisor, DAQ engineer, coil tubing assistant operator, ENI technicians, SW supervisor, and so on. So every week I would request, you can go back to the mobile app, open it up, subscribe to the job alerts, and you can apply. What also you can do, in case you don't find a job relevant to you, you can anytime share, a job with your friend, right? If someone wants to, looking for a job and you think that you have this job available, you can share them via GT Crew app. So all in all, it's a very intuitive system. It's a good system, and we keep on updating the GT Crew app. So I believe it will make a very big impact on the way you apply on jobs and get out in the world to become an international oil and gas consultant. Alvin, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Kush. Thank you for such a good introduction of the Crew app, and showing it live definitely makes a big difference in understanding the Crew app. So again, I would like to inform everybody to just go on the Play Store and download the Crew app. A few questions related to the Crew app that I would like to pose. Kush, can you throw some light on this technical evaluation part on the dashboard?
Right. Yes. So what happens is once candidates they give their resume to us, our team, as Sumit has already mentioned, they assess their resumes, they assess how the candidate is, and then they call for a technical interview with the subject matter experts, right? And once that interview happens, you will start seeing the status of your interview, right? So you'll get to know that when was you last interviewed, when were you last interviewed, for what role you were interviewed, and if there are chances that you might get technically interviewed again for another role, you'll be able to see.
Right. Kush, I also have something to ask. This is purely from a recruitment perspective. The bid section, as we're still in COVID times and everybody is looking for the best next opportunity or the next assignment. So for particular one job which is advertised, it would automatically create a competitive environment, right, for the potential crew or the candidate to quote the daily rate, because we are most of the times you're looking for consultants. Can you elaborate a little bit on this for our audience, please?
Yes, sure, Sumit. So, what really happens is that, there might be people out there who already have a job in hand, but there are also people who are currently looking for a better role, right? So what happens is maybe last year you were at $100 day rate, but this year you want to increase it to $150, right? And this is the pitch that you can make on the GET Crew app. So when you apply for a job, if your application gets approved, you get qualified to place a bid that, hey, I will work at this particular rate, okay, and I'm ready to join you guys within the next 10 days or 15 days. And that is what we are looking for, right? So we want that people are able to tell us that, all right, I can come at this rate, I can come on that date. And that is why this is such a simple, effective way to know what is the current state of the consultant and what you might want to work at.
I think, thanks, Kush. This is a great initiative. We combined the bid section with the availability, and GET Global is very proud to be the industry pioneers in this field, to have the interactive GET Crew app. Both our existing members who are working with us and the potential crew which we are looking forward to onboard, as Kush mentioned, this would certainly make a difference. So, Alvin, we have some questions from the members of the audience. So, Kush, if you allow, can we move to the Q&A? I think the audience has been waiting for quite some time now for their queries and concerns to be answered.
Sure.
Yes, definitely, Sumit. We can
Right.
take the questions now.
Right. So, the first question is asked by Ahmed. Is it possible to put the reference in the CV? So that's a very valid point, Ahmed. We have seen some CVs in which the references, one or two, are mentioned. So it's not really necessary, because at the appropriate stage, the HR of every organization, they do a background check. At that time, they ask for your one or two references, and that process is carried out separately. So what I would advise from a recruitment perspective, you could utilize that space of your CV for highlighting something else which we have covered in the 7 ingredients or the recipe. So you could utilize that space of the 2 pages to highlight something else rather than put the references. That would be taken care of. It would be requested if required. So no need to mention that in the CV. I hope that answers, right?
Yes. There is another question by Ahmed himself. Can I send CV for checking any mistakes?
Okay, all right.
So, Sumit.
Yes. So, no, absolutely, sir. I know the context of this question. So, in fact, as I recently covered, and I'm sure you must have noticed in the previous slides, we highlighted the incomplete CV and the good CV. So, at least within GET, the recruitment team, we ensure that the information from your resume and your CV is makes a transition to a common GET CV format for the technical hiring manager's review. And I'm sure Mr. D'Souza would agree with us that this is how it looks more uniform to review a candidate's CV rather than the resumes. That's also shared, but then during the interview, the video call interaction we have with the candidates and the applicants, the JD CV reflects your profile in a much better way. So if there are any mistakes which you should check as a prerequisite before you formally apply for a role, but then if something is left, don't worry, like that is minor mistakes can be taken care of, but please check your CV before you post it as an application, and the rest we will make sure that we further refine it before the technical manager reviews it and interviews you. I hope that answers, sir.
Yes, Sumit, here I would like to reiterate what we have already spoken earlier as well. By mistakes, don't put false information over there.
Right.
This is what I want to, because then the trust is lost.
Yes.
So,
yes.
So be conscious of that. Don't provide false information. It's something that you have not done and mentioned as an experience. That is something that is not acceptable to us.
Right. Absolutely.
Okay. This one is from Angus, and he is asking, I want to ask if it is wrong for an applicant to message his recruiters on social media platform. So, Angus, although it's not considered as a good practice, but recruiters like me don't have a problem with such things. For me, I don't have any issues. If I can help in any way, I will do that. But what should be your approach is that you mention whatever you understand the job role that you are applying for, and accordingly build your CV, and mention whatever experiences you have and your skills and all that in a very precise manner. So there should not be any reason for you to message the recruiters. Again, another thing that we have is the Crew app. In that you can post your queries, and there is a section in there, where support section in the Crew app, where you can post your queries, and within 48 hours somebody will contact you. So that option is there.
Correct. Very well. Right. So we have another question from Gabriel. So it's like the concern is with the skill sets. Worked in multiple roles previously, and but looking forward to one particular job profile. So would the sending of the more skills or sending the CV for one role which is being targeted, what would be the best option, I think? So what I understand from the question that whether it is the oil and gas industry experience versus the non-oil and gas sector, if that is what is being asked. So yes, I mean, you can still mention it, but then only the relevant experience would be considered by the recruiters and the recruitment team, and of course by the technical hiring managers. So Mr. D'Souza, I think we can mention briefly that there is a set competencies matrix which we follow for every candidate. So there should be a decent amount of, or the reasonable number of years a candidate has worked in a particular job profile, and if they're looking forward to progress their career and their aspirations in the oil and gas industry, then they stick to it and then look for a good a career in the medium and long term. So you may or may not mention the additional roles and the profiles, but then you will need to explain. There will be a stage where you need to explain the gap or the other experience, non-oil and gas industry experience, to the SME. So please don't worry about it, but please make sure that you draft your CV, keep it confined to 2 pages in a very precise and concise manner, and then remember our ingredients which we shared. So it should be addressed by the recruiter. We will highlight your profile accordingly. So I hope that answers.
Okay, just to add to it here, mention your other skills only if it's relevant to the job role that you're applying for.
Right.
Sometimes what happens, your other skills might be supporting the job role, where it is important. For example, if you are a supervisor for coil tubing and you know about stimulation as well, or you know about some other logging experience, or you have wireline experience. And there are times where all these jobs are run in combination. So there your skills will be very important, and you will play a very important role if you in those kind of jobs. So I don't see any harm in mentioning your skills as long as they're relevant. At the same time, there could be some other skills, your communication skills, some application, computer applications that you may be good at, may not be directly involved with the job role that you are applying for, but may act as a support. So think wisely on that, what you need to mention on your CV. And as Sumit rightly pointed out, keep your CV short and crisp within 2 pages. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Alvin. We have another technical question for you. One member of the audience has asked, he's a junior worker in drilling, and he has also worked as a mudsman and the painter profile, floorman, and so in his case, he's asking if it is necessary to list all the roles in his CV. I think you answered it, like only
Yes,
the relevant experience, would be considered.
Of course. Now, see, this shows that he has progressed in his job,
Right.
okay, from a painter to a roastabout to a floorman and a mudman. So this clearly shows your progression, that you are a progressive person. So I would say yes, it is important. You mention all these roles because these are related to your job role, and also it shows a clear progression in your case. So yes, answer is yes. Please do mention.
Thank you. So we have a question from Venezuela. So is the internship, is it relevant to mention the internship experience and to put it in the CV as a work experience? So we just covered that. No, not really. You can utilize the same space for highlighting some other information. But if you have around 2 to 3 years of experience, you can just mention it in a one-liner, very briefly if you want. If it is related to the oil and gas industry, then it might make a difference. If it is non-ONG sector, then you may skip it because that's not going to get you any points for that. So, and
okay, what I would suggest in this case is if your internship is relevant to the oil and gas sector, and you have done a project, which is of some significance, then you mention in the extracurricular activities that you have space for in the CV. Okay.
Absolutely, I think that would cover it. Like somewhere in the right section, it would get done. Right. So,
is it right for an applicant to be an inquisitive, sir?
Maxwell.
I
really
didn't
understand the context of the question, but is it? I think what the gentleman is trying to ask is, during the interview process, I think it's probably going on a proactive basis and asking the SME, or trying too much on the timelines of the position. So what I would suggest, let's keep it to the technical perspective. During the interview, if you reach that stage, we'll keep it because the matchmaking of your skill profile with the job description has already been done. So I would suggest please take it in a step-by-step manner and wait for the recruitment team to revert to you on behalf of the technical manager. If all goes well, you will be communicated, you will be contacted again. Right.
Okay, there is, to understand this question from Gabriel. There were concerns in the interviews I already had access to, but the first thing the interview must say is his qualification. Yes, I mean, I think qualification is important, but depending upon the role that you're applying for, and if you lack certain educational qualifications, but equally if it is supported with great deal of experience, then it can be considered. For example, for a supervisor role, if the requirement is like a technical degree, and you only have a diploma, it can be considered if you have sufficient numbers of number of years of experience to cover it up, or higher number of years to cover it up. So that can be covered. I mean, it is not hard and fast in most companies that your educational qualification has to be spot on. So if you have the right skills, right number of years of experience, and you lack a little bit of on qualifications, you can be considered.
Okay, we have one more technical question. It's a technician for the petroleum industry, and the skills were with the leak test, worked in Halliburton and Baker Hughes in PPS previously. So one interview was attended within GET and arrived from sending of the offer letter. So I think what this is to do with the update or the follow-up with your application. So in spite of all the best efforts which the recruitment team puts in, I would also like to answer this on behalf of the hiring managers, that sometimes there are certain situations which are not in our control. So for example, a position was open, but due to some reasons or the other, it has been put on hold, or the client project the timelines of the project has shifted a little bit. So there are some parameters where even GT is informed briefly about the status of the role. So it is nothing your fault. You did the interview well and you were selected and you had the offer from us, but that preliminary offer only indicates your permission to the recruitment team to share your profile after the technical interview with our client project. Then the selection and the approval comes at a later stage, and only then you get a detailed employment confirmation. So it's all a step-by-step, and recruitment team and the technical hiring managers, we do our bit, but sometimes there are certain parameters which are not in our control. That's the only reason we are unable to revert, because we don't have an update to share with you. So please bear with us in those situations. And yeah, I think that's it. Like, we can only stay in touch. Okay.
Okay. There's does the GT Crew app only advertises jobs in the upstream oil and gas sector, or does it also advertise jobs with respect to construction and fabrication verticals in the same? This is from Leroy Matthias. Okay, Leroy, what I would like to tell you is, if it is related to the oil and gas sector, where the construction and fabrication that you are mentioning is related to the oil and gas sector, especially in the midstream, we do have job openings in that sector, and we do advertise whenever they're open. Am I right, Sumit?
So to an extent, like if the job profile, if the skills, the logic and the concept is the same, and if it could be utilized, but I would like to understand from Kush if it can be advertised that way in the GET Crew app. Other verticals, I doubt, because we're looking for the oil and gas industry experience specifically. But as you say, Mr. D'Souza, we can check. Kush, do we have the advertised jobs with the other verticals?
We have for the pipeline and pipeline services.
Yes, Sumit. So whenever we get a job from any other vertical, but yes, as Alvin said, which is related to oil and gas upstream, we do publish it, and we have already closed certain positions in those verticals.
Oh, I see. Okay, then it's fine. That's perfectly fine. That's a valid question. Yeah, that answers it, right? Okay, this is a question related to the recruitment team. Yeah, man, it's quite interesting. In a situation whereby the CV has been sent to a recruiter, I mean, the application has been made, and you haven't heard us from them. So would it be appropriate to keep sending your CV to the recruiter for the same position? So, okay. So please understand, for one role, if you haven't heard from us for a reasonable time frame, and as I mentioned earlier, for one job profile, we have at times 50, 60 applications and even exceeding that. So if you haven't heard from us, so that might mean that the job has been, it has been landed with some other candidate, or somebody else has been selected. But that doesn't mean that you don't stand a chance. Your CV, your profile you have interviewed with the SME, you are still in our database. So in the next instance, when that job is advertised on the Crew app, or it becomes available and open again, automatically your profile would get highlighted, and it is in our systems in terms of your availability, right? And you can continue to apply on the GET Crew app that you're still interested, and your interest would be considered in sync with your availability, and uh, we can look for the other role. We have a lot of clients, a lot of projects across Middle East, so you will definitely be considered at the appropriate time. If not in this instance, then going forward.
What we also do in this case is like, suppose you are a coil tubing pump operator, and we don't have an opening in pump for coil tubing at that time. Whereas there is an opening as a BSP operator or some other similar kind of role. So we adjust it over there as well. We can make some adjustments and move you to the next role, that is next closest role that you can be accommodated in.
So we may present that candidate again to you for interviews, sir. A brief
yes, of course.
Yes, we will do that.
And I have done such interviews, and we have managed to find
Absolutely.
jobs for quite a few people like that.
Absolutely. So I hope everybody is excited about the GET Crew app. I haven't seen any application, any question related to that. So
I think I was not expecting a lot of questions with the GET Crew app, because once somebody has downloaded it, it's very simple to use. It's that easy.
Right.
It's very very rare that somebody has a mobile phone and won't be able to use the GET Crew app. Anyway, I mean, if somebody has queries, they can always post it on the Crew app, and
Right.
get their queries resolved.
Right. So, Mr. D'Souza, I thank you so much for taking your time out from your Dubai meetings, and thank you so much for talking to our audience and making the industry professionals aware of our internal parameters which we follow along with the recruitment team. I was glad to answer them. And so, as I mentioned, the audience and the industry professionals might be in their youth phase or their experience. I'm sure they have listened to us quite carefully and learned from it. And everybody wants to make a difference in their career going forward. So this is something which we really appreciate. And you have been very supportive to the recruitment team as well, and taking the interviews on our request, irrespective of your travel schedules. So that's something we really admire. And any closing point coming from you?
Yes, thank you, Sumit, for co-hosting this webinar. Okay, and it was really a pleasure. It was a good interaction with the audience as well, with the prospective candidates out there. I
Right.
hope this webinar has been helpful in resolving some of your queries and giving you a better understanding about how to prepare your CV for the oil and gas industry. So again,
Absolutely.
I would like to thank each and every one of you for having attended this webinar, and hopefully you have gained from this. Okay? So again, I would like to request you to please download your Crew app if you haven't done it yet, and happy job seeking.
Yes, of course. Yes. Please feel free to explore all the channels, sending your applications through the resume ID, resume@getglobalgroup.com, or the GET Crew app. You will find it very user-friendly, as Kush mentioned, and that would be quite interactive. If you want more updates and more follow-ups, or sort of a good interaction with the recruiter, I think GET Crew app will take you to the next level. So we are really proud of it, and we look forward to receive the applications from all of you and your reference.
Can we take a couple of more questions? Looks like some questions have popped up just now.
Yes.
I think this is an interesting one. I think I'll take it.
Sure, please.
From Maxon. is it necessary to list the equipment and model you have worked on your CV? Maxon, I think I've touched this point during the webinar, where I mentioned, like you summarize it, summarize whatever technical terms you are using, or the equipment that you have used and all that. So if you keep it short and provide enough insight about your experience on the type of equipment that you have used and all that, it will definitely catch the eye of the recruiter. It will show that you have certain specific experiences, and if they are looking for that kind of experience, you are in high spirits there.
Absolutely. So one more, I think we have. Can one apply for more than one job at a time? Yes, you can. Definitely you can. The GET Crew app is the best example you have seen. But please remember the job description first. Please read through it carefully. The keywords, if you have had that kind of an exposure and experience in the past, please design your CV accordingly for that particular role and apply. You can take your chances. Not a problem. All right.
Another one is there. Sumit, there is another one here. Can you please highlight the keywords for operators and engineers role?
Oh, is there another one?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, we have.
We have already spoken about this, but if I don't know what is your skill or what is your profile, Mr. Akim Usala. Okay, so what I would say is Google and all these places have these keywords as well, So you can always search in that, and even the Crew app can give you the keywords for that particular skill. So I would say explore the Crew app, and I believe your query will be resolved.
Yes, Alvin, the keywords are sometimes advertised in the job description itself, which we receive. Yeah, so that makes a difference. Certainly. Okay, all right. I take this opportunity to thank everyone again. And Kush, thanks for the GET Crew app. That was wonderful. I'm sure it would make a lot of difference going forward. Thank you, Mr. D'Souza. And we look forward to have more webinars going forward. We'll disturb you again.
Certainly. Not an issue at all. And thank you very much, Sumit.
Thank you.
You so much. As well. And thank you, Kush. And thank you all for having attended this webinar. Thank you. And have a good day.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Bye.